The biggest challenge with communication is the illusion that it has taken place. I want to take just a moment here today and have a conversation with you about communication. And not just any communication, but the type of communication that actually breathes life into the conversation that is happening, brings life into the room. What we call conversational oxygen. Now, one of the things we know about oxygen is that when living things need energy, they take in oxygen. To have meaningful conversations, we need to bring the oxygen into those conversations. We have subtitled this conversational oxygen, ProActive Conversations. Now, we here at MSBCoach know that there are times where we're going to have reactive conversations. Reactive conversations come in the framework of having those difficult and challenging conversations, and it's very important to have the skills to do those conversations. However, what happens if we get in on the front end of our communication where we are being proactive in the conversations that we have? These are the things that we are bringing to the table for our clients and want to bring to the table for you. So when we explore conversational oxygen, we take a look at 5 different elements. Now, this program is extremely interactive. We are practicing these elements all day long as we work with teams. The 5 elements are, number 1, listen between the lines. So when we're listening between the lines, we're really working to establish trust. We are listening with our head, but we are also listening with our eyes, our ears, and our heart. So we go through activities to learn how to do this. Number 2, practice curiosity. So many times in conversations, we're not in a place of being curious. We're in a place of just, when am I going to speak? When is my chance to shine? So instead, how do we, number 2, practice curiosity? Number 3, how do we inspire and challenge critical thinking in our own minds as well as those minds of those who we are talking to? And number 4, how do we then create partnership? How are we going to end this conversation knowing what the expectations are for the people involved in the conversation? And then number 5, which is what I like to call the Cool Whip or the icing on the top. Number 5 is, how do we then add value to these conversations? And adding value meaning, how do we give feedback? How do we receive feedback? So in practicing these fabulous 5, we literally begin to move into knowing how to have the proactive conversations and how to bring energy into the room of the oxygen for conversational oxygen. So I want to invite you to reach out to us if you'd like to learn more about this wonderful program and these fabulous 5 elements, how to bring them to your team. There'll be some information here running across the bottom of the screen where you can reach us. I do want to close out this video with a quick conversation, an element of the conversation that happened recently with Krista Tippett on Being. And they happen to be talking about conversations, which is what conversational oxygen does. So Krista Tippett was interviewing John O'Donohue, who is an Irish poet, theologian, and philosopher, and she asked him this question. So bear with me as I go through this question, and I want to read it because I don't want to miss any of the words she shared. So she asked, when is the last time you had a great conversation? A conversation which wasn't just 2 interesting monologues, which, as it was, passes for so many conversations in our culture today. But when did you have a great conversation in which you overheard yourself saying things that you never knew you knew? That you heard yourself receiving from somebody words that absolutely found places within you that you thought you had lost a sense of? When is the last time you had a conversation that created a different plan? A conversation that continued to sing in your mind for weeks afterwards? And O'Donohue's response was, we're so often just waiting for another person to finish speaking so that we can get our point in, as if the conversation was a transaction rather than a shared discovery. What would happen if we were truly present? So I want to ask you, what would happen if you were truly present and were able to embrace these 5 elements in conversations? So reach out to us. Let's have a conversation.